Hey, everybody. Okay, so what if the person who hurt you could also help you heal? This is a super complicated question, but the answer isn't either or. So, in this episode, I actually recorded one with Alana for the Choose to Be podcast with Alana and Amy, and I decided to pull it over into this podcast. So, Alana and I are going to explore how partners can play a supportive role in the healing and why the ownership of your process is still essential. So we're going to go through that, and it should be interesting because, again, this episode was recorded for the betrayed partner, the partner in healing. But for those of us who are the individual seeking recovery, the betrayer, there can be a lot of really important nuggets in here. And I always love the way that Alana tackles it. So we're going to break down the three powerful ways that partners can help. So whether it's listening without defensiveness, validating pain, or showing up with empathy, but while also naming the danger of giving away your power. We want to talk about that. So just again, it doesn't matter whether you're the one that's in healing or you're the one that's hoping to help, hoping this conversation can challenge and clarify and encourage you in the steps you need to take. Anyway, looking forward to jumping into it. Welcome to Beyond the Facade podcast. I'm your host, Luke Gordon, and I'm thrilled to have you join me in this space today. What we're going to be doing is diving deep into the trials and triumphs and truths of seeking authenticity. Becoming your true self isn't about a single action or moment. It's a relentless pursuit, a commitment to self that reveals the rich connection and meaning that our life has to offer. So whether this is your first time tuning in or you're a regular listener, know this: what you're building here goes beyond a conversation. You're here to challenge, to change, and to celebrate the incredible journey of becoming your authentic self. Because when you dare to show up fully, the rewards are immeasurable. So welcome to Beyond the Facade. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome to the Choose to Be podcast. You are in luck today because we have Luke joining us. Luke, I always love when you come and you and I get to record together because I like the balance between the two different perspectives. And I like how we can jump in between that. And with both of our podcasts, I know with my podcast, while it's focused on the partner's healing, we get a lot of individuals seeking recovery listening because they want to understand more and understand deeper. And I know on your podcast, you get the same thing. You have partners who have been injured who want to come here and listen. What does recovery look like? What does it sound like? What can I be expecting? So this is kind of fun when we get to bring our two podcasts together and our brains together and talk about a topic. So today's topic is one that even like my brain's going a million different directions. I'll just say the title of it, Can My Partner Help Me Heal or Am I on My Own? This sometimes can be confusing in the recovery journey because you hear these different classes or groups or courses on help her heal. And so there's this, or like checklist of like, okay, here's all the things that the individual seeking recovery needs to do to help you heal. But then on the other hand, we hear of this, like, nobody can heal another person. You can't fix another person. You got to do your own individual work if you want the couple's work to do anything. And so sometimes it can feel confusing of this like push and pull of, can they help me heal or can they not? Should I be expecting them to or should I not? And we kind of get pulled into this one or the other camp. And we're going to look at some of those nuances today. Anything you want to throw in on that?
I just got so interested in what you're saying. I'm like, what's next? This is amazing. I'm excited to have the conversation. Yeah, no. I do. I have just that part of knowing what you're responsible for the individual seeking recovery. Like, what am I responsible for here? And just validating the partner of he broke this, so he should fix it, right? And he needs to clean up this mess. So understanding what we're responsible for really matters.
Yeah. Let's just cut to the chase right off the get-go. And let's just answer the simple question is, can a individual who has injured their partner help them heal?
Yes, your partner can help you heal. Okay, let's end the episode. Okay, like that was not helpful. So your partner can help you heal, all right? And then a little bit here in a minute, we're going to talk about ultimately the healing being your responsibility, okay? So I think somebody told me early on, like, Luke, you can't fix her, but you can definitely make it a lot worse. So I think that was good preliminary information for me of setting a fair expectation. But yeah, like when you injure your partner, your emotional support, how you listen without being defensive, validating what they're experiencing, being able to show empathy and remorse consistently, that matters. If you're not doing that, there will be an outcome.
Okay, hold on a sec. That I want to slow that down, what you just said, because you just gave 3 things emotionally that you said, yeah, if the person who's injured the other person can do these things, like it matters, it helps. And if they can't, it doesn't make healing impossible for the betrayed partner, but it sure does slow things down. And it sure does not create an environment where the relationship can heal. So can you say those 3 again? Because that was so good.
Yeah. So, the just 3 different things. This is about emotional support. Okay. So listening without being defensive. That's the first one I mentioned. And being able to validate their experience, right? Validate your experience. And then being able to show empathy and remorse consistently. And what I want to highlight on is just exactly what you said, Alana, which is it was scary for me to watch because I think I know at the end of the day that my partner is going to be okay. It's just whether they're going to be okay with me or without me, right? And those 3 things are really important. That if I want to retain that relationship, that there's something I can do my own work to be able to do. Because yeah, if you're in her world with a lot of defensiveness, not being able to validate her experiences, you lack empathy, and you're being distracting for them to be able to get their healing. You can slow it down.
Well, yeah, it absolutely can. And the more that the betrayed partner is wrapped in to needing the other person to show up a certain way, is the level at which it will slow down. So I'm going to speak here and be a little vulnerable. There were times where I so desperately wanted, needed, insisted that Luke show up in these certain ways so I could heal. And
Yeah.
when he did show up in those ways, like I would shoot forward in my healing. And guess what? When he didn't, holy cow, I stalled out. And that roller coaster ride that I was on, that was so, if he's okay, I'm okay. If he's not okay, I'm not okay. That took me on such emotional whiplash. And it took me a long time to really see how damaging and harming that was.
Yeah.
And so we'll go into that later a little bit more of like me doing my own work and seeing that. But your ability, an individual seeking recovery's ability to be able to show up and create an environment where healing can happen better does impact the partner.
Yeah.
I'm thinking or I'm remembering, and maybe Luke, you don't want to go here, but you and I have had different seasons. When we've been in recovery for as long as we've been doing this in our own individual work and healing, we've had different seasons that were big. And 2 that are coming to mind is there was a period where you were all about being an emotionally safe person who was available to me to aid in my healing.
Yeah.
And there was a period where you just absolutely could not do it. And when I think back to those 2 times, the times that you really were emotionally available, listening without defensiveness, validating my experience, you had empathy, while not perfectly, you could get there. And there was this like consistency and effort, not maybe consistency in doing it right, but consistency and effort. The way that that impacted my healing really created an environment that allowed me to be able to come to you and let you be the one to hold me in my pain.
Mm.
And I could come to you and we could do healing together. I didn't have to be alone in it. And so while there was a lot of individual work that I did, there was really this beauty in being able to turn to you And I could even tell you, I want to hit you right now. And I also want you to hold me. And you could sit with me in that. So there was this opportunity for the relationship to have so much healing and for my own attachment system that had been so injured, for you to be that attachment person that could be there and I could turn to really did protect the relationship.
Yeah.
Did that make our journey easy? Hell no.
Mhm.
Did we still have so many ups and downs? And was it the hardest work, emotional work we'd ever done? Absolutely. But we didn't have to be against each other. The other period of time where you could not hold my things and learn how to hold your own stuff, it was almost like you were having the battle between the two.
Mhm.
I was left completely alone, and our relationship withered more and more and more because of that. Because I had to, no, I couldn't turn to you to hold it because every time I did, I was re injured.
Yeah.
Every time that I wanted to have you comfort me, I would come over and get smacked on the hand or cut with a knife.
Yeah.
And so eventually I stopped going to you because I realized that that was harming more than it was helping.
Yeah.
So notice the difference in either of those situations. You couldn't fix me, but it sure made a difference on the relationship and our ability to heal together. And one did aid in my healing. The other one did not. So I had to go find that from other places and other people.
Yeah. And I don't know, Alana, I don't know if this is like trying to put lipstick on a pig. Weird analogy, weird way to say it, I know, but they got the first go around with this when, you could frankly throw most things at me and I would be able to just be present with those was not the second experience of later on in recovery or later on in the journey, I should say, of not being able to hold your stuff. And it was perception of myself, of how I was dealing with my own deficiencies and weaknesses and mistakes. And this is where I say lipstick on a pig is not trying to make the second one different, but the opportunity that exists for a partner that I watched you be able to do, Alana, was gain a relationship with yourself that I've just been blown away with that you got because I wasn't there. And I guess the only reason I'm saying that is I want partners to know the healing that happens without your partner and with your partner.
But yeah, it's interesting because you're saying that. And I think it was more obvious, the healing later, but in both experiences, I really was able to, as an individual, grow and heal.
Mm.
And I think this is where, and I'm not going to quite jump ahead to this yet, but I think this is where the and really is going to come into place is we often think in ors, right? Either I have to heal on my own or my partner helps me heal. It's not an or, it's an and. And so I think this is where the and comes in is like, yeah, you really could help me heal. And that by itself would never be enough. I have my own individual work that's essential to do. And so both of these things have to sit here side by side. And I want to build on this is we're not talking just about emotional support. Like those things that we mentioned, huge. The emotional support is huge, but that has to be paired with accountability and transparency in word and action. Because we don't have that accountability piece, that transparency piece. The emotional support can only go so far.
Okay, so let's have everybody visualize that in your mind. So if we're talking about the yes, your partner can't help you mill, emotional support, and Alana, yeah, accountability. And the part that I wanted to highlight here with the accountability is you and I had dialogue before with this one, before we started to hit the record button, which was who are we accountable towards? And I think about accountability existing where there's transparency and honesty, but it's also not in a parent-child relationship where he's doing it to satisfy her. He's doing it to be transparent and accountable to himself in front of her on his own plan, right? And I just feel like this goes sideways and it's not even seen so often When we talk about accountability, it's with self. It's not the partner, but it has to be done in front of partner if you want to be in a relationship with them. So, and that will remove that can be problematic parent-child experience that neither person wants.
Yeah. I thank you for saying that, because when we get into the checklist of you have to do this and this and this and this to create safety for me, and I get why we do it. But when we start setting up those dynamics and we get the parent-child relationship, it becomes really problematic. And where my brain is going is a woman going, okay, wait, but there are things I need for my safety. And yes, I think it's really important that you get clear with what those are. And the person seeking recovery, they need to go, I want to create safety for my partner. Here's the list that they need for their safety. Here is my own value systems. And here's why I'm going to create that safety for them, because this already aligns with my values. And this is what I want to offer them. Not like we can be doing the same thing in action, but one comes with the energy of, I'm a bad boy and I have to do all these things just so she's happy. Or I am an empowered man who is seeking recovery and I want my partner to feel safe. I want to protect them in ways that I've never protected them before. And this is what it looks like as I step into that power. And I'm totally genderizing here, but I step into that power. I step into that healthy masculinity. I step into that protector who's going to protect myself so I can protect my partner. Notice what a different energy that is.
Yeah, I felt it. Every part of my body tingled. Like, that was beautifully said. And it's so comes from within, right? It so comes from within. It doesn't come from outside.
We're going to take a really fast break and tell you about some of the things coming up at Choose.
Are you a woman carrying trauma in your body, tension, discomfort, and that tightness that just won't quite release? This is Hallie Roderick, and I would like to invite you to join us this August 26th through 29th in Spanish Fork, Utah, for Revive and Thrive, a 4-day somatic healing intensive designed exclusively for women ready to reclaim their bodies. Guided by expert therapists, coaches, and body-based specialists, you'll learn to uncover where trauma lives in your body and gently release it through somatic practices like art therapy, breath work, brain spotting, energy healing, mindfulness practices, and therapeutic immersion in nature. It's more than just an intensive. It's a sacred sisterhood where you'll process emotions, rebuild resilience, and come home to yourself, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So if you're ready to step fully back into your life with freedom and strength, visit the show notes to learn more and to register.
Okay, and now back to the episode.
So the other piece here is that if we're talking about, yes, your partner can heal you, is the co-regulation and presence part. We talk about being emotionally available during those triggers and those hard days. That's going to be a part of this. This isn't about not being defensive, but it is about being present, like being there and asking questions, getting curious, seeking to understand, and not fixing. So that experience and co-regulation, the only thing I ever think about is oh my gosh, just like I have this opportunity. It's sad that this situation exists, but this beautiful opportunity I have is the person that I hurt, who's in pain emotionally and all the other ways psychologically. I get a chance to show up and be with them, and their body's going to respond to that. Their body's going to respond to that, and that's an opportunity for me. Sit with them in that fire.
Yeah, to validate, to sit with them, and to not fix. And it is the default of humans to want to step in and fix where they feel like they might be able to. And so it's really about just catching yourself when you're trying to fix. And again, no fix, no change. You're just sitting with and hearing. You're not changing their experience. You're hearing and listening to it and honoring it.
But think about that concept, y'all. Like, think about it. When you sit with I want to cry. When you sit with your partner and you don't fix, I'm talking about the individual seeking recovery towards the betrayed partner, the partner in healing. when you sit with your partner, you're not fix what you share with them without saying it is, I trust you that you are capable of working through this, like, and being with them, right? And that's what they're trying to reestablish inside themselves is trust for self. So if you fix that, you're basically telling them that they can't do it on their own, right? That's not okay.
There's feeling in that with you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because I think I have information that will help my partner. And I think I have enough experiences that probably need more work around to think that I have some knowledge of how she needs to show up compared to how she actually does. And I want to fix it, right? Not my job.
And not only is it not your job is to not fix it. Because you can't.
Mhm.
You can't. You shouldn't. But the best way you can aid in their healing is by sitting with them and hearing them and not challenging their experience, not trying to make them see it different, because that's a type of fixing, right? Just hearing them and honoring what they are experiencing.
What they're experiencing. Yep. Okay, so now we get to get to the and part, which we kind of done a little bit, but healing is ultimately each person's responsibility. So let's give us a couple of pieces of this. So the danger here is in what we'll call externalizing power. So if your healing depends on your partner's actions, either
If
one,
they would just,
if they would just do this, actually expound on that a little, Anna, will you?
the amount of times that I'll just say, like, I've said this myself, but I hear my partner say all the time, well, if they would just do this, or if they would stop doing this, then I would be okay. That shows every time we have one of those thoughts, we are giving our power to that other person.
Yeah.
We've now externalized it, which means we've taken it from internally, our power from internally with us, and we put it in the hands of somebody else, which creates that roller coaster that I talked about earlier. When they do well, you're okay. When they mess up, you unravel because they're holding the power, not us.
Yeah.
There's a difference between giving away our power to somebody else and maintaining our power and understanding that we're being impacted, but we retain the power. This person can choose A, B, C, or D. And while that impacts me, I still am ready to make choices for myself, and I can be okay despite what they do or don't do, because that power is internal versus them holding it.
And I think it's easy to think about it from a partner and healing perspective of, man, if he would do that intensive, if he would do that group, if he would do this, then what would that do? And I think about, well, let's talk about for the individual seeking recovery, the same thing is done. If she was kinder, if she noticed the work that I'm doing, like if all this stuff, then man, it would be different. And we don't want to externalize that power.
No, right. Because you think about that. And for an individual seeking recovery, if they're waiting for their partner to be nice or accept it for them to do their work, like, think about that. Think how much growth and progress they are losing by waiting for another person to do certain things for them to be able to take action.
Yeah.
Right. So hopefully you can see it for the other person in a way that helps you better see for yourself where you are empowered and where you might actually be giving your power away. I'll just tell you, this has been one of my big weaknesses in my life, is giving my power away, but then telling myself that I wasn't. And being able to get clear with myself in the ways that I am empowered and get clear with myself in the ways that I was giving my power away has been really, really game-changing in my own healing journey. And I still have stuff come up. So annoying.
So annoying.
Yes. Yeah.
And the other one with this one is the individual seeking recovery. This is just so much discomfort in all of this because I get so mad that the partner in healing, the betrayed partner, won't give validation to me. And I'm so frustrated that she's not more empathetic towards what stuff is. So I want her in that role. I want her in that role of giving me credit, but then I don't want her in that role. Like, don't weigh in on how I'm doing stuff. So it's when we don't externalize power, it changes a lot.
What you just explained is an impossible situation for a partner,
Yeah.
right? Because they could do no right.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important that individual seeking recovery is not putting those things on their partner to do or not do.
There was a couple other here's that were listed. There's this other part, which is empowering self-agency. So it's recognizing like I can heal even if my partner doesn't change. I'm not dependent on them. That's such an empowering thing, but it's a scary concept because it's new, it's different. Who knows what that looks like? But yeah, that's our responsibility.
And that goes both ways, right? Both of you can heal even if your partner chooses to stop doing their own work. Healing is not dependent on the other person.
I think it's cool watching. I know you don't like to talk about you a lot, Alana, but I'm going to take a moment and you can always edit this out if you don't like it. It's your podcast. But watching you lean into a lot of discomfort of letting, oh, wow, a lot of emotion today, of letting go whether I would heal or not, right? Letting go of that and going that this is mine. I get this healing and I'm not stopping. And I'm changing these patterns. I'm disrupting them. I'm not waiting on my partner. And watching you have that be really, really scary for you, but then also watching you have come to a level of peace and calm in that, of being able to not just do it from a place of, well, that's healthy and it scares me, but also noticing you being, from my observations, have a lot of clarity around that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I care deeply about you and I wish all the best for you in your healing. And I hope that you get every ounce of healing that you desire for you, for our kids. But I've let go of needing you to show up in the way that I want you to show up. I am given you the responsibility for your own healing. And that was a whole nother deeper level of healing that both of us were ready to take.
Yeah.
It took a while to get there.
Yeah. And that was hard, ugly as in emotions that I was uncomfortable with.
Oh, both of us floundered in it,
Yeah. Well, that's
right?
not what we
Because
care
you
about.
were used to doing it all for me, and I was used to having you do it all for me. And so it was a leap of faith for both of us.
Yeah. Big one. And self, right? Was still caring about the partner deeply, not acting like we didn't. Not that we would do that. Okay, there's this other one, which is kind of the same thing, but I love the verbiage around it. Radical ownership of your process. Radical ownership of your process, therapy, boundaries, self-connection, spiritual work, whatever it might be, that this is mine, this is my process. I value me, and this isn't about somebody else. And I think radical is the right word because that's what it feels like to break a pattern. That's what it feels like to do something different. It feels so intense.
I had a session recently and the client was talking about having these boundaries, and the boundaries were breaking patterns of self-sacrificing for everyone else in the family and everyone around them. And we talked about this, like owning the boundaries. Like it's one thing to be like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. But like, no, you get to own this. And I love that radical ownership. This boundary is for me and it is absolutely okay. And you get to choose whether to come in my world and be around me and honor that, or you choose not to. But this doesn't change that this is only what I'm going to accept now.
Absolutely.
With this, that empowering self-agency is such a beautiful term. What this really comes down to when we're talking about the and is we're not asking your partner to carry you, but we're also not asking you to walk alone through this desert. There is this beautiful and of where, and it's like where let's talk about like sides of the street, right? He's got his side, she's got his side. They each have their own side of the street. No, we're talking about this middle ground where you get to walk side by side. They're not carrying you. They're not limping and you're dragging them along. But each person is learning how to be interdependent where they can stand on their own 2 feet and we can walk side by side from each other. And so it moves from, I'm not trying to save you, but instead I'm here to help you. I'm here to walk by you. I'm here to create an environment that aids in your healing.
Yeah.
And you as a betrayed partner are ultimately responsible for your own healing. You didn't ask for this to happen, but responsibility of healing is yours. And that person who's hurt has responsibility and accountability for their own work and the impact they have. So I know that it's complicated, it's nuanced. It takes a level of trust to be able to aid in healing and to walk side by side. So there may be elements in your relationship that are missing that you're not here yet. That comes in that individual work. And so we encourage you to take it one step at a time. A great thing, I'll just give really quick. We do have the Men's Helper Heal Intensive coming up next month in July. This could be something where you can dive really deep in learning how to do this. And we also do offer for those who want to even go a step further than that. You can do all of this work in an individual intensive, a couples intensive, or come to the Men's Helper Heal. And for partners who do want to come and have some individualized help for the last 2 days, we invite partners. You can add on through that. And all of that's through chooserecoveryservices.com. But
Can I speak, Alana?
please, yeah.
Okay, so we went through all of this information, right? And the last thing we want to do is leave you with like, hey, this is the work that needs to be done with. How do I do that? Right? So there's a big sacrifice. And the thing I want to highlight is the Helper Heal Intensive is designed for this work. Okay, everything that we're talking about here. But the thing that's new is we added on an experience at the end of that intensive where the Helper Heal is designed for men who have betrayed their partner. But now we're inviting them to use the tools and practice them by inviting their partner, if it makes sense for them, to have their partner come in for the last 2 days. And then we're going to practice what was used and we're going to use it because we don't want to just give you the information. And we'll say this like we do many times. We're not saying Choose Recovery Services is the only place for the information or we are the place, but we do want to make sure we give you resources. So anyway, just want to mention that.
Yeah. And there are other Helper Heal groups out there. We take the foundation of the Helper Heal and then we add steroids to it. We foundationally think it's wonderful and we add a whole lot more of deeper emotional intelligence work that builds on it. So
Excellent.
as always, thank you for hanging out with us this week. And we look forward to seeing you all next week.
Thank you. Catch you later.
Hey friends, it's Hallie Roderick here, and I wanted to personally invite you to an incredible opportunity coming up this summer. From July 8th to 11th, Luke, Gordon, and I will be co-facilitating a Helper Heal Intensive for men in Spanish Fork, Utah. And if you're a man who's serious about rebuilding trust, creating emotional safety, and doing the deep work of repair after betrayal, this space is created specifically for you. This 4-day intensive is not a lecture series. It's a deeply experiential process designed to help you feel the shift, not just understand it intellectually. Together, we'll explore powerful tools and practices to help you develop real empathy, shame resiliency, and a clear understanding of betrayal trauma so you can begin to show up as a safe, trustworthy partner again. You'll also have the opportunity to connect with other men who are on the same path, men also committed to growth, their integrity, doing the hard work, and the beautiful work of relationship repair. So whether you're just beginning this process or you're well on your way, this intensive can be a powerful next step in your journey towards healing. So if you're ready to move forward, we'd love to have you join us. So to learn more or to reserve your spot, check out the show notes where you'll find a link to reach out to our office. So let's do this work together. Hope to see you in Utah.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. If this is something that you connected with, I'd love to meet with you more and talk about it. So what you can do is go to chooserecoveryservices.com or check the show notes. And there what we can do is set up a quick conversation to meet. Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Facade, where we unmask the authentic self.